more silent, the more aware of awareness I am. So there's also a little commentary going on about the awareness. And that's the thoughts, and I don't really notice those as much normally. Like, because there's still something there trying to do something, trying to get there, trying to notice. And that little person commenting is, it's arising within the awareness, but it's constantly chattering.
Mm-hmm.
But there it is, Okay, that's awareness, or that's, now I notice that sound, I notice, okay, I'm off, I keep continually talking.
Mm-hmm. This talking, this chatter, as you do these yogas regularly, will quiet down. Just doing the yoga is it's enough.
Is it a commentary on what you're experiencing, or is it something else completely?
No, it's a commentary on, this is an evolution of it. At first it was commentary on lots of other things, but
right.
he points more and more to awareness. The commentary is more about, oh, there's a sound, okay, that's coming out of awareness, okay, off of that to, it's just, instead of just being the awareness, there's a commentary going on. Yeah. And like you said, that's enough just to do the yogas. But there's a point where that you are instead of offering it to the awareness, you just are the awareness, and instead of talking about it.
Well, the yoga is really useless, or let's say redundant. It's redundant if you are knowingly awareness, if you are abiding.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So these yogas are meant as tools to sort of approximate or not caricature, no, to portray the experience of consciousness knowing itself. So the commentaries will quiet down as you simply do the exercises, do the yoga. So you could do these exercises at home, whenever, which is basically to go to your perception or whatever sensation and being aware of the space in which they're arising and surrendering whatever arises to the space. Don't worry about doing them correctly or incorrectly. Okay? Just do these yogas without concern about the results. Just to do them.
What are yogas?
I'm sorry?
What is yogas? Oh, yogas are instructions?
This exercise we just did now is a yoga. Okay. The objective of the yoga is to use the body in order to approximate the experience of consciousness, having realized itself. There are bodily positions that we have adopted due to ignorance, due to being identified as a body-mind. The body has sort of taken on certain positions, me positions, you know, me and the world positions that are very subtle contractions in the body. And the yogas are meant to release and to approximate, to sort of point to an experience, bodily, the bodily experience of consciousness that is not contracted in the separate self.
Now this will actually be on your YouTube, right?
I think I did. I did.
So you could
I did record
put
it.
it on the YouTube and with the
Oh, okay, with distractions.
yeah,
I did record it. Yes.
hopefully.
Yes, I did.
So there's a link
I
on
did got it.
on your site.
Yes, we'll give it to you. Later. Yes. So the chatter that arises also has a bodily element to it. It's not strictly chatter. You can notice next time that this is happening, that there is a chatter and there is also somewhere in the body, and that's an interesting yoga as well, to sort of locate not just the chatter. Oh, is this is a perception. I need to release it to consciousness. Gee, why am I releasing it to consciousness? If I am consciousness, I should be consciousness, and if I'm consciousness, there's nothing to release to anything. That's conversation, but notice that there is going to be somewhere within your body, within the body, a sensation that is associated with this conversation. Then you can release that sensation to the space. As you notice the space, you notice the space in which this sensation, this bodily sensation is arising, and you surrender it to the space.
Yeah, I remember when I
Oh, that's cool.
first came here about the whole idea of perception. And you told me that, and then during the week I was noticing my thoughts more. And then through noticing my thoughts, of course I would say more chatter, I'd say there's a thought. So I wouldn't just notice it, but I would still notice it, then say there's a thought. But when I did that, I did notice sensation as well as being separate from the thought, where I always thought the two kind of went hand in hand, but when I kind of was noticing the thought, and then I would notice the sensation as well, separate from it. And that was very, it's like a big step, I thought. You know how I guess there's steps in this evolution, and that was a big step, I thought.
Well, in fact, there is nothing separate from anything, because what would make anything separate? What would make A separate from B? Something has to make A separate from B. Yes?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you name it, a thought, something has to, we do an experiment and we observe experimentally that A is separate from B. Let's say this experiment that demonstrates that A is separate from B is the very proof that A is not separate from B. Because the experiment connects A to B. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Let's say thought is a thought that arises that says, I am separate from you. You are there and I am here. This thought that says, you are there and I am here, does it not connect? Is it not connected? Is it not connected to you and to me?
The idea of you,
huh?
the idea of you is the same as the same place.
If there is an idea of you, that idea connects you to me. Just ponder about that.
Yeah.
When I think New York City, that thought connects me to New York City. There is nothing separate. Another way of putting it, if there were two realities, meaning two separate realities, if there is separation between A and B, that means A has its reality, which is reality A, and B has its reality, which is reality B. What would know them? Something says, well, that's A and that's B. That something that knows A to be separate from B is the reality that encompasses both A and B, that knows both A and B, like your right hand and your left hand. There is something which is you that connects these two hands in as you, this one body. So if there were separate realities, then what would be the reality that would know them? The one reality. There has to be a reality that knows A and B, that knows them. Otherwise, it would be nonsense to be talking about A and B without knowing A and B. How could we say that A is separate from B if we do not know A and if we do not know B? So we do know A and B, and we, that one reality, says, well, A is yellow and B is red.
Yeah. You want to make it seem like it's a separate I that knows that reality. But it's the one reality that knows that reality.
Okay, that's interesting. So then we say, okay, I got it, that A is yellow and B is red, and they're both made out of me as this one reality, this one consciousness. But this consciousness is my consciousness is different from your consciousness. So we say, okay, that's my consciousness, your consciousness, and so on. What would know that? What would know that my consciousness is different from your consciousness? If I know that my consciousness is different from your consciousness, then that means that I know your consciousness. I know your consciousness, and I looked at it, and I saw, wait a minute, Lee's consciousness is yellow. I looked at my consciousness and said, well, my consciousness is red. And therefore, Lee's consciousness and Maggie's consciousness are different consciousnesses. I can conclude there are different consciousnesses. But what I've also concluded in the same time is that I am the knower of both consciousnesses. Yeah. At the same time, I have proved that I am the knower of both consciousness, that I am this one consciousness that knows both consciousnesses and can say that's yellow and that's red. Yeah. In fact, I do know that Lee is different from Magdi. But I do know that Lee's mind is different from Magdi's mind. But not Lee's consciousness is different from Magdi's consciousness. Why? Because I do know that, for example, you don't live here, that you live somewhere else, that you are perceiving the back of this laptop right now, and I'm perceiving the front of this screen right now. That's clear. Excuse me?
But if there is only one consciousness, this is what kind of trips me. I think it's actually, I think we're operating on two different levels, I think. One is the level of the world in which we have to operate, because otherwise we couldn't go to work, we couldn't eat, and then, and I do believe that there is one consciousness and one reality. But I think if that is true, then even like separate and single minds are actually all part of that one reality.
Yes, they are.
There is not one mind and a different mind.
There are different minds, but there was one reality. For example, there is a tree that has many different leaves or many different branches, but it's one tree. There is one storm that has many different clouds or many different, over there, it's the eye of the storm, and over there it's more wind, and over there it's rain. It's one storm. It has many different elements, many different characteristics, but it's one storm. It's one ocean, and over there is big waves, around Big Sur, and around Santa Cruz there is beautiful surfing waves, and around San Francisco it's in the bay it's very calm, but it's this one ocean. There is one electrical current, and there is this light bulb here, and that other light bulb there, and that light bulb there. There are different expressions, different minds, but one current. So there are different minds, different, what we refer to as mind.
Part of the same reality.
There's one consciousness. It's one consciousness. So, but it's important to clarify what we mean by mind, okay? Because there is an impression that there is such a thing as a mind, So when we look at what is a mind, by mind, I refer to the phenomenal realm, like perceptions and sensations, thoughts. It's this perception, this green sweater, this purple pillow, this blue overcoat, the thought. I remember, my brother visiting last week, certain sensations. So the phenomenal composition I refer to it as mind. But there is no actual thing that is a mind. There is no container where we open that is called mind, and then we open that container, and we see what's inside. We say, "Oh, the mind is inside." It's not like that. Mind refers to this experience, to the phenomenal. So it's like the images on the screen. So the mind is the images on the screen, and consciousness is the screen. So mind would be like the clouds that form out of water, right? Clouds form, and consciousness is the water.
Yeah, and this is how I understand it. I understand that reality expresses itself in many ways, but reality may be meaning consciousness. This is the way I conceive it. I don't know if we are.
Yeah, that's reality expresses itself or manifests itself as.
But it's still the same thing. That's what I'm saying, right?
As always, there is only one consciousness, and all of the phenomenal world, the world, body, mind, their substance is consciousness.
Right.
It's like in the night dream, there are all sorts of mountains and rivers and people and ghosts and God knows what. Yeah. But their substance is you.
Yeah, okay. Right.
So when you go to grab a dream character, you're actually grabbing consciousness. There's no dream character. It's just consciousness. So what's really important is not just to understand, but of course to understand that there isn't a separate self, but also to have all the separate self characteristics that inhabit the mind and the body to dissolve. And that happens through your contemplations. That's what this satsang is about. It's coming to wash your laundry. You come to wash your laundry, in satsang. So it's not sufficient to understand, this is very important to understand, that I am consciousness that takes on all forms as taking on this form, and that there isn't a separate consciousness out there. But it's also important to experience the universality, the borderless quality of consciousness. That's the experience of freedom, peace and happiness, causeless freedom, peace and happiness. And in a way, that's the end game of the contemplation. And then there is, of course, a very joyous celebration of the freedom and the happiness, the delight.